But moving right along, next we are going to hear a report out from the group that explored different facets related to drone technology. And so to share with us a little bit about that, I'd like to introduce once again to the stage the co-founder of senseFly, Mr. Jean-Christophe Zufferey.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Can you please power the slides? So yesterday we had, I believe, a very interesting technology track. What we did is to ask all the drone makers, almost all of the drone makers, because Wingtrua was preparing for the famous BVLOS operation, so they couldn't attend that session. But the four others came up with their birds, put them on the stage, and had a 10-minute presentation that was really oriented towards technology, discussing technology. And we encouraged the audience around the table to ask as many questions as they could, and this worked. So we had really interesting questions. And some of them really found this track interesting because, indeed, an exchange could really happen. So let me quickly summarize here what I believe the technology of the drones, cargo drones, look like nowadays. So first of all, I was really impressed by the fact that all of the 5 drones here are vertical takeoff and landing drones, which was not the case a few years ago. And also this technology, sometimes I had doubts about the fact that it would fly stably. And I think that all the demonstration that occurred here in Monza in windy conditions sometimes demonstrated the fact that this technology is now becoming to a mature stage. It's also interesting to see that all of the drones based their brain on the Pixhawk open source autopilot, which I believe is a good sign. It's a good thing because basically it's not all those drone makers are not reinventing the core of their drones. They're rather building on top of an existing technology that is already proven and reliable. Some of the teams are really also contributing back to the community. They're also improving the hardware of the autopilot, so that's very interesting. And I think this makes also a big opportunity for, in the future, to interconnect those autopilots to, for example, the UTM systems. So if one does it, then all the others will be able to do it very easily. The drone capacity, payload capacity of those drones were between 1 to up to 6 kilograms, a bit rather 4 kilograms, I would say. With a range of 50 to 100 kilometers. So 50 kilometers is really something that you can keep in mind, is easily reachable even in windy situations. And this is much more, you have to note, than what multi-rotors are capable of, with sometimes between 10 and 20 kilometers. Some of those systems have a dropping system. Not all of them have it, but all of them are talking about it. Good to keep in mind. We also had very frank questions about how much the system costs. So the answer is between 15,000 and 75,000 USD. And one company, so that's for now. Of course, this price will evolve. It depends on the business case, etc., etc. So many discussions around that aspect, of course. One company, Rigitech, not to mention it, came up with this 50 cents per kilometer on a basis of 1,000 flights per year. This is quite interesting because it makes it competitive, I believe, with the motorcycle operation. So I think it's a good start, and I encourage the drone company to think more and more in terms not of price of the system, but price of the service, transport price. Most of those drones that you've seen here are multi-purpose. So it means that they can also serve for mapping missions. They can also carry sensors. They can do many things like this. But maybe this also means that they are not completely optimized for some of them for cargo operation. And I would say that most of those systems are between a prototype stage and a start of low volume production. Oops. Okay, so then we discussed the use cases, and I would say that most of the things that we discussed during the event, but also during the session, is about health sector and trying to carry stuff like this. And I think this is a very good opportunity for the less than 2 kilograms. That's a slide that I took from Oriol Lopez's presentation. There is really in the health sector a good business case for transporting low mass goods. And I think this make for a low-hanging fruit business case. However, can you come back 2 slides? Thank you. We also learned that Senegal is looking to start medical product delivery drones, using drones, and there is also many projects, for example, led by Village Reach. So many ideas around the health sector, but I really believe we need more in other sectors to start to see a good business in this area. And it seems that Posta Tanzania, that was around the table yesterday, is also very interesting in larger payload capacity. So maybe in some use cases, 2 kilograms up to 4 kilograms is not enough. Many very interesting questions about, how can we ensure that the maintenance is done? How can we ensure that the spare parts come in the country? Do you need battery swaps at both ends, or can you avoid that? How do you achieve obstacle avoidance? How do you plan the flights? Can you fly under the rain? So many discussions like this were going on. So I really believe that the technology is now there. It is existent. We saw it working. The drones are capable of flying beyond line of sight in a reliable manner. So all of this exists. But I think really what we are missing is the real use case. And I think it would be good to spend more time, maybe next edition of this event, to think about to analyze the existing supply chains and to see how the drone can be interfaced to the existing supply chains. So the next step will really be not so much about demonstrating technology, but rather finding the right use cases and start continuous operation. And I'm sure that the technology will co-evolve with these real-life use cases. And last but not least, I would say that I'm sure that Africa is really in Africa, small cargo drone can really achieve a leapfrogging in logistics. Thank you for your attention. And if you have any questions, any feedback, please feel free to come to me. As you may know, I'm part of the advisory board of the Lake Victoria Challenge. So if you have any feedback about the event as well, and maybe what we would prepare for next year, don't hesitate to talk to me. Thank you.